Good evening. Are you able to hear me? I'm looking at my camera is here. Hi, welcome to this live session. I just want to make sure that you are able to see me and hear me properly. So, if you can let me know in the chat where you are. Hi, Narsimachari. Yes, good evening. If you can you hear me properly? Am I audible? And okay, thanks, Narasimha. And you are joining from which place? Can you also type that in the chat? Let's see if we can. Okay, Hyderabad. Yes, welcome. Let's wait for some. Hi, Ravi Chadda. Hi, good evening. Let's see why this chat is not coming up on this overlay. Anyway, Ravi, where are you joining from? I'm looking at the chat here, so though my camera is here, I can talk to you. My laptop is on this side, so I'll be looking here at sometimes so that I can. Okay, Jaipur, good. And I see eight people total logged in or joining from different platforms. If you can also tell me where you are from. Nasima and Ravi have already told me they from where they are from. So thanks for joining. Let's give few more minutes. It's just 9 o'clock. Let's give few more minutes for others to join and then start the walkthrough. Let me try something more. Let's try this. I mean, I am using this feature for the first time, and let's see how this. Till a few other people join in, l- let me play some music. I don't know. This is a feature in the software which I'm using for multicasting. So, okay. Hi, Shubha. You are also from Hyderabad. Yeah, we have one more person from Hyderabad. Welcome, welcome. Let's wait for one more minute and then we can exactly at 9:03 we can start. I'll walk you through my sketchbooks and then we can proceed. Let me change the view so that you can start getting an idea of how we'll do it. So this is a view in which I'll be showing you my sketchbooks. And yes, it's 9:03. So let's get started. So welcome everyone, and there are a few people already, 11 people now. Good evening to all of you. If you are from India, because it's 9 o'clock here at night. If you are joining from any other place, do put in a comment where you are joining from in the comment box, so that we can welcome you. And let me switch off this music. Yeah, and today's I'm going to keep this live kind of short. uh, I could not inform you much earlier, so sorry about that, but thanks for joining anyways, and making the time to join this live session. So this will be so today's agenda will include basically three, four things. This webinar is a precursor. Let me Yeah. So this webinar is a precursor to a webinar series which I'm doing from 16th onwards, 16th of August to 26th. And this webinar series will be focusing on landscape painting skills, and we'll go through all different skills which are needed to paint a nice landscape and be a landscape artist. So I'll be covering what is the artist path, which we talk about in the membership which I have, which is called Art Insider membership. So that webinar will lead into the membership. So people who want to explore landscape painting further and become artists can join that. But even if people don't, not all of them will join, but even attending this web series or webinar series rather would be beneficial, because we'll be talking about all the aspects which go into making a landscape painting, and how the artist evolves over a period of time and what all he needs to work on. So that webinar series is the one which is coming up from Monday, which is 16th. And this webinar is kind of precursor to that, so that I get used to the technology which I'm using. Also, you get used to seeing me online and live, and so that we get comfortable, you can start attending. I'm also keeping the time of this webinar same as that what we'll have in the webinar series, which is 9 p.m. every day IST, so that it becomes a habit, and it's then you kind of get in the habit of attending these webinars. Okay, so that with that introduction, let's get to the next point in the agenda, which is the sketchbook walkthrough. I mean, I love looking at other artists' sketchbooks, and I hope many of you also will love to look through my sketchbooks, and that's the aim of this webinar, today's webinar. And then I'll also talk about supplies, because I work in multiple different mediums. Though in the Art Insider membership, we mainly focus on watercolor and gouache, because it's these mediums are easy to demonstrate, and also for students it's easy to handle. But I also teach them how to paint with acrylics and oils in that membership. So the basic thing is, I do not concentrate, or I do not exclusively work in one medium. I try to explore different mediums like watercolor, gouache, acrylics, oils, even digital painting. And that's whatever I do and I use, I want to show you, so that you can explore, you can feel inspired to try different mediums. Also pastels sometimes I do, but I don't like the dust which they kind of leave behind, so I tend to work with more wet mediums. And then let's see if we can squeeze in some time for Q and A's. If you have any live questions, I will try to answer. But I'm also inviting questions from you, you all, for the webinar series, because I'll be doing extended Q and A's during these live sessions. I'll be teaching for some part, and then I'll be answering different questions which members or people like you would like to know answers to. And so that's the basic agenda for this small webinar, and let's get started. Let's see who all is joining. We have already welcomed Shubha, then Setu Lakshmi Ganeshan, you are from Delhi. Welcome. Hemant Kumar, good evening. Good evening to you, Hemant. And Hemant, you are joining from which city? Can you type it in so that we know, we can see where all people are joining in from? Okay, let's get this out of the way. And first of all, why a sketchbook? I mean, why should an artist work in a sketchbook, and why not on a canvas or a separate paper? I mean, a major thing or major hurdle which beginner artists face is they're worried about what if my painting doesn't turn out good, what will others say, what my family members or friends will say, and what if I waste a lot of precious art material. And I mean, I am not so confident about using a very costly material for doing my painting because I'm not so good or whatever. So all that fear and all that confusion in mind leads to people not practicing at all, and sketchbook is a very good remedy for that. The reason being, sketchbooks are kind of inexpensive. This kind of sketchbook, I'll just start my sketchbook camera or desktop camera so that you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, there we go. So this is a sketchbook which I use. It's an inexpensive sketchbook. You can get this for like 200 300 rupees, and typically I use 130 or 140 gsm paper so that it can take sketch pencils, it can take crayons, it can take some watercolor also. Not very fluid watercolors, but you can still work with transparent glazes, transparent washes and all that in this sketchbook. And they are because they are inexpensive, it doesn't hurt much when we mess up a painting. I mean, though I say that there are two benefits of doing any artwork. One is you get the artwork done, and second is you learn with every new artwork which you do. So you never really completely fail when you try to create some art. You always learn, and the more the number of paintings you do or sketches or you do or drawings you do, the better is your skill, because practice is required for this. This is not like any academic subject where you learn the formula and then you are good to go. I mean, though there are people who know a lot of theory about painting, if you cannot bring it on your paper or canvas, then you cannot be called an artist. So it's one thing to understand art concepts, and it's completely different to show them or exercise them in your paintings. So, and this happens only with practice. So it's very important that you do some kind of art every day, even if it doesn't even if it's not necessary that you spend half an hour 1 hour every day, because that's very tough when you have a job, a house to take care of, family to take care of. But you can squeeze in 15 minutes per day at least. And that, I think, everybody who wants to do something in art should keep in mind that those 15 minutes every day add up and lead to a greater skill level. So and the other benefit of sketchbook is that if you don't like what you have done, like these are not some great drawings, uh, these are some paintings which are not so good, then I might have some, many rather, not some pages where the art is not good. I mean, you mess up, you don't create something which is you can proudly show to others, but then you can simply close it, and then nobody knows what you did. So it's easy to keep it in your cupboard, easy to take anywhere wherever you go, and then it gives you the experience of painting and your skill level increases. That's the reason why sketchbooks are very very important for any artist. Okay, so I'll go through, because there are so many of these sketchbooks. I can't show you every page, but I'll quickly flip through these sketchbooks and stop at some places and explain you what I do. And it's also not necessary that you have to do a large painting every day. You can paint something small, like this coconut. And let's you can see that I've drawn and painted some fruits here. Then there are some leaves which I painted here. These are some which I did as my own study, as and also as part of my workshops which I conduct uh, from time to time. Then this is a landscape done with just one color and a large brush like this. There is no small brush used. There are these are some marks which I made while teaching watercolor techniques to students in the membership, and so on. And you will see so many experiments, and some of them are good, most of them are not so good. But that's what a sketchbook is for. You can see the light and dark shade created here. And then these are some flowers. This is a landscape done in the gouache style, which means gouache is somehow not a very well-known medium, but it's very very close to watercolors. So what I do normally is add just opaque white to typical watercolors which we use every day, and then I get the effect of an opaque medium, which is actually very very easy for beginners, because it's much more forgiving, and you can get different effects which a transparent watercolor cannot give. So you can mix and match or mix different effects in the same painting. If you want to keep some areas transparent, you can keep that. You can add white and add make some areas opaque and so on, because that adds a lot of variety to the surface of the painting, and then you get a wider range of techniques to work with. So for example, this highlight on the tree trunk is done with uh, a color which is lightened using white. Okay, otherwise in typical watercolor transparent mode of using watercolor, this would have I would have had to keep this area uh, unpainted, so that the light can, or the lightness of the paper can shine through. But with this opaque medium you don't have to do that. So this is a landscape. These are few landscape which I tried. They're not so good, but then they in every painting there is some area which turns out good, and maybe there are areas which are not so good. So every time when you paint something, you should always keep in mind or try to look for what is good and what I should be able to carry forward to the next painting, and what is not so good which I should leave behind. And when I say leave behind, I will it tells me what not to do, so that the next painting can become a better painting than this one. So you never really fail with painting. You always learn, or you get a nice painting plus you learn. So it's always gain which happens. So this is again a painting done in opaque style. Avanti, let's look at who all are joining from different places. Hello, Mansi. Mansi is from Lucknow, and Riddhi is from Chennai. Welcome, Riddhi. Avanti is from USA, Texas. Okay. Hi, welcome, and good morning to you. It must be morning there. Gayatri, namaste, and Romi from Delhi. Yes, welcome. We have few more people from Delhi. Welcome all. Then you don't need big topics to create art in your sketchbook. For example, this piece of ridge guard, is something which I painted. And you don't, it's a very very simple subject to paint, and you find so many different objects in your household which you can paint, and you can get the enjoyment of painting. Finally, there are multiple benefits to painting. One is the art, and second is it has a very calming effect on your brain, and you feel relaxed, and you also get a sense of achievement of doing something interesting on that day. Mm. So it's also not necessary that you need a very special subject, because one of the many reasons why people don't paint often is that what should I paint is the first question, and if they can't answer that question, then they don't paint at all. And that should not happen actually, because the subjects are there all around us, so should not worry about that. And these are two sketches which I did on location when I had gone to that place. This is from a place called Khopoli near on Mumbai Pune highway, and this none of these are kind of final paintings, but they gave me an idea for a painting which I finally did in oil painting or oil colors. But this was done on because these are both done on location. They have a lot of freshness to them, which generally studio work doesn't have. So you should also carry your sketchbook wherever you go, and try to paint there. You may not get good results in the beginning, but once you try enough number of times, uh, you will make progress, and you will see the progress. These two are also painted on location, and most of them don't convert into a final and nice painting, but that doesn't matter. I mean, there are benefits which I got when I painted this is from, I don't remember the name of the place, but it's near Pune, I think an hour's drive, and we had gone there for a weekend. So this was fog here rising. It was winter. Obviously, these are pre-COVID days, and so I quickly remember all the atmosphere, all the kind of feeling of that place when I see this painting now. So it's about a photograph cannot capture that, because when you paint you have to take so many decisions. You have to observe uh, what's in front of you more closely and then paint it, so that makes a greater impression on your mind. And when you look at this painting again after a few months or years, you quickly remember what was it like. You even remember the smells and the sounds which were there around at that time when you painted this. So that's a very good reason why you should take your sketchbook to wherever you go and paint live. It might look intimidating at first, but it's not that hard. This is also from the same place. This was on the earlier evening when at the same place. It was a garden, so this is bottle palm, I guess, and then it's a silhouette basically, but it reminds me of the experience there. And this was when we had reached there. It was afternoon, so you can see the light and all that. So this is what these are also from. These are very close by to where I live. There is a lake, small lake, man-made, I guess, and this is also from that similar place or same place rather. And this one is actually a quarry which is very close to where I live. It's on a hill, and these are also done on location. So let's see who all have joined now. Mansi, hi Mansi. Sonali Patel from Mumbai, welcome. Shahana from Bangalore, hi, welcome. And Meena from Mumbai, Welcome, welcome all. So we are just going through my first sketchbook. This is painted. This is from Goa, and it was a very crisp morning. And then went there and painted this. This is also done. This one is also done. Both are done on location. This is not from Goa. This is from Hinjewadi. Yeah, it's an IT hub if you happen to know near Pune. But there is just you cross the mountain hill, and then on the other side you can see the scene. So these are all done on location. Yes, these two are from Khopoli, and let's quickly go through some of these are some of the paintings. I think uh, friends, children, my children did, because we had taken this at that location, so they wanted to paint something. These are done on a different location on at the time of sunset, and you can see there are so many failed paintings, so to say. But then they teach me how to do things and how not to do things. This one is also not so good, but that's what sketchbook is for. For example, this one is also from a place called Dandeli. We had gone there for a family get together, and then I painted these four. I had applied tape here so that I could get crisp edges, and this is done using Zon palette, which doesn't use any blue. And then these are all from the same place. It was a village, and then a lot of scenery to paint. So you can also paint very small. For example, this must be like 3 inch by 5 inch. And the advantage of painting small is that you can complete them fast and then still get the effect. And this is much more or much better than taking a photograph, because you are adding your flavor to it, for lack of a better word. These two are also from the same place, Dandeli. Then I do some illustrations, so these are done uh, for that purpose. These are some sweets: gulab jamun, peda, karanji, modak, and then some western sweets. You can see you should not also limit yourself to a particular topic, even though mainly I paint landscape, but then I also paint different things, and that gives me the variety. It gives me kind of exercise which only landscape would not be able to give me. So you should not limit yourself to painting only one subject. So you should try different things, and different things give you different kind of experience. This is also painted on location. This is also very close to where I live, maybe 10 minutes drive. And then few these are done in transparent watercolors. So this is a morning scene. This is not done on location. This is done from a photograph which I clicked. This is near Goa, in the morning, and this is from the hill where I live nearby. I mean, I don't live on a hill. So let's quickly. These are done in pure watercolor, very transparent, very simplistic manner. This one, let's quickly go through few other. Yeah, I was talking about illustrations. So this is also type of illustration. You can see how detailed you can work with watercolor and gouache. So these are all coffee based or coffee themed illustrations. Few more cookies and coffee. These are done on location, again, not so good, but then they quickly bring back memory, and they also uh, tell me what worked, what did not work. And let's see what else. These are few portraits. I don't draw portraits very often. That's why I don't teach portraits. But then I sometimes just for fun draw these so that I get some exercise of doing something which I normally don't do. I don't obviously would show this to anybody because it's not good. But then, I mean, sketchbook is, I don't mind sharing this with other artists because that is how it should be. And it's only through failures like this that we keep learning and then improve our art. Let's look at something else, some other sketchbook. Yeah, these are few uh, birds which I did. Let's see who else. Hi, Shraddha from Goa. Welcome. Rupali from Nashik. Welcome, Rupali. Riddhi Mehta. I'm based in. Riddhi is asking where am I based? I'm based in Pune, and that's Maharashtra. And which Shraddha is asking which brand do you use? I use watercolors which are from Camlin, and to that I only add opaque white which is made by Brustro, uh, and that is enough for me to use watercolors as gouache because this adds the necessary opacity, and so that I can with minimum number of colors or minimum variety of colors I can paint transparent also and opaque also when necessary. So that's the thing which I use. These are some feathers and birds which I did of different bird species, and you can see so many sketches are incomplete, not so good, but that's how you evolve. You should not worry too much about how it would look when you paint in your sketchbook. And if you find that your painting has come out really nice, you can take out the page and frame it. So there's nothing stopping you from doing that. And these are different types of trees which I was teaching somebody in workshop, and different leaves and so on. Fruits again. This was done in Mahabaleshwar, if you know, happen to know, it's a hill station. And I taken my sketchbook. We had gone there for holiday, and this was a eucalyptus tree. And I didn't have or I didn't find anything else interesting, so I just painted this branch. What else? You can also try painting with just two tones or two colors. It's not necessary that you always have to use all different colors in your palette. This one is also an experiment, but if I frame this, it'll look nice. Right now it doesn't have any frame, that's why it doesn't look very nice, but it will look nice if we just frame it, because it has some abstraction to it and some realism. There is a suggestion of water, there is a suggestion of reflection and shadow and so on, and it is creating a feel of an evening time. So that's why I like this. So these kind of things, this is not a planned painting, okay? So you don't always plan and paint in sketchbook. You just start doing something, make some mark, and then the painting takes you wherever it needs to go. So you have to allow the painting to uh, take you wherever it wants to. So you should respond to the first few marks of color which you make. There is room for, or it's not that every painting should start this way, but just like you start with a drawing and then laying in the first colors and the second colors after a lot of planning. Similarly, there are paintings which can be painted just as an experiment. You just throw some color there, make a brush mark, and then try to figure out what it can turn into. That's a good exercise to do once in a while. So this painting is one of that kind which did not start with any planning. and you can experiment with different color palettes. You can see that this doesn't have any bright colors, but still it looks something interesting. I won't frame this, but then this does give me ideas for a final painting which I can make. So this can be your uh, drawing board, so to say, where you experiment, and then if something clicks, you can take it further. You can see some. You let me try zooming in here. This is a small painting. This is like maybe 2 inches by 5 inches, but when you there is some texture here. Okay, so you should. I was experimenting with again. I like to use big brushes, big flat brushes, even to paint small things, because that kind of removes the fear, and then allows me to make brush marks very fluidly. If you use a tiny brush, then you're kind of stifling your efforts, and then it doesn't give you expressive painting. So you should always try to use large brushes. So this one, it looks like it also started as a simple brush mark, and then I tried to create starry night kind of an effect. I mean, there are some stars like things which appear here because I sprayed some water on top of it when it was wet, and then these are a few dark tree like structures on a hilly slope, and that creates a kind of mood of an evening or night, sorry. So even though this may not become a painting in itself, this effect or this idea of creating something like this can be used in some other painting which you do later on. Let's look at what is the time. It's 9:35. Yeah, we have some questions. Hi Akriti. Mansi Devdikar is asking, is it gouache? Some of these paintings are gouache, but as I say, I use typical watercolors plus just one opaque white to make it uh, gouache, because gouache is nothing but watercolor, which has more opaque quality to it, and that is achieved by, obviously you do get pure gouache colors. You can use those also, but then I find it easier to use simple watercolors because I can use them in transparent as well as opaque fashion if I need to, and I like that flexibility. Any other question? What kind of brushes do you use and what brand? Okay, I'll come to the brushes and the supplies in a minute. Is it necessary to use only watercolor? Can it be done by pencil color? Of course, I mean, you can use any medium which you like, whichever you find uh, convenient to use. But at least personally, I feel I'm more attracted to big and bold brush marks which pencils cannot give me. So that's why I use large brushes and watercolor, or large brushes and oil colors to start with. I mean, then it has that energy to it which pencils don't have. But it's not to say that pencils are bad. You can do sketches with pencil. It's just that it's a different way of working. It will take you more time to paint with pencils, because uh, it can make very small mark, and if you have to do a painting of this size, then you will have to uh, put in a lot of time in it, whereas a brush can do this kind of a sketch in maybe 10 minutes. Hope that answers your question, Mansi. How important is limited palette in painting? Very important. I mean, it is because limited palette is, let me explain a bit for those who don't know what is limited palette. Limited palette means you just use very few colors in one painting, maybe three primaries and just white if you are painting opaque. And what that does is that your all the colors, other colors which you need in your painting, are mixed using these three or four basic colors, and so you naturally or automatically get the color harmony which is so much required for any painting. If you use 10 different colors, then they kind of create an effect which is not homogeneous. It doesn't look that they belong to uh, one painting or one scene. It looks very odd. So limited palette, there are many benefits of limited palette, which we can get into details later on some other day. But it's very good to paint with limited palette. How do we carry watercolors while traveling? Obviously, I mean, it's easy to carry watercolors because if your bags are small, you can take a small set like this which has smaller tubes. And if you are using limited palette, which means you just use one red, one yellow, and one blue, and white if required. White, you can carry something like this, and that's enough for you to paint anything, maybe a fourth color. And this much you can carry easily in your bag, and you can take it. And as these colors dry very fast on the paper, you can, within 10 minutes, you can close the sketchbook, put it in your bag, and walk away. So very convenient to carry also. Sunanda is asking, what is better, oil color or acrylics? Better is a relative word. There are benefits of acrylic, there are benefits of oil. I personally like oil better than acrylics. That is because acrylic tend to have more depth. The colors have more depth, and even though they take a lot of time to dry, if you look at the time for which the painting is going to live in this world, which is, oil painting can live maybe 400-500 years if kept properly. Compared to that, maybe 8 to 10 days of drying time is nothing. So just to reduce that time, I don't like to compromise on the quality of the paint. And if you see, oils are much more forgiving. You can keep on working on them, keep on layering. Acrylics have their own advantage that they dry fast, so they can give you effects which oil can give. But in a shorter span of time, your painting is ready. But it's up to you. I mean, it's not better or worse. There are artists who do great work in oils as well as in acrylics and so on. So it's a matter of choice. I mean, I won't say this is better or that is better. I mean, manage watercolors in the field. Okay. So your question was about managing. I mean, since it's so small, you can, or you can carry a palette like this, which has some watercolors already squeezed in, and then let me zoom out, and then use it for painting, and then just keep it in your, close it and keep it in your bag. So I think that should be possible. Do you make landscape bookmarks? I'm not sure. I haven't done, but I guess what you're saying is make landscape and turn it into a bookmark, or paint a landscape just to make a bookmark. I haven't done so. This is again a simple painting done with very few strokes, a very large brush, and it has absolutely no details, but then it still looks interesting to look at. So there are different styles which you can try when you're painting small. That's an advantage of using a sketchbook. Again, a watercolor portrait, which I don't, left it half done because I don't paint portraits much. So, but it was just an experiment. This is again an abstract kind of a thing which I just did to experiment, and then there was no planning done for this, but then it looks interesting sometimes. Again, one more. Let's see what else do we have. How much? What is the time? For 9:42 already. Let me quickly go through now. Few more. These are again two trials of the same painting. I ended up painting this in oils later on. Yeah, and these are few paintings which I did for beauty product brand, or cosmetics brand, I would say. And they had some organic products, and they wanted illustrations for that, so I painted these, and then they then we scanned, and then they have it on their product now. So this can be watercolor, and sketchbook can be used for this purpose also. This is carbon for, I think, something to do with a face wash or something, and so on. And here I was explaining what difference between oils and watercolors and so on. Some dates here. Flowers, fruits, and so many different things. I also like to paint just black and white because they have so much. They You can create interest within few minutes, and there is uh, no work involved to mix the right colors. You just get the values correct, and then you are good to frame the painting. In fact, I mean, I can frame this and it will look good if I do it. Again, a gouache style landscape, few trials like here. This one was a trial. This one is again a completely gray painting. Can you see that it looks like a nocturnal scene? I mean, scene in the night. So you can see just by changing this color scheme or choosing different colors, you can suggest time of the day. So that's quite interesting, and it because you're painting in a smaller size, you can experiment a lot and so on. I think we should stop on the sketchbook front. Let's say there are okay, some questions about, do you do varnish, watercolor? Yeah, watercolor I use plain Camlin brand, and for opaque white I've used Brustro, which is a fairly, as compared to Camlin, it's a newer company in India at least. And which was the water? Oh, yeah, okay. Do you do varnish? What is the benefits? Varnish is generally used only on oils and acrylics. And varnish, because these paintings are not framed under glass, typically watercolors are and pastel paintings are framed under glass, so that there is no contact of direct atmosphere, which can ruin the surface, because watercolor is delicate, the paper is delicate, whereas canvas is much more sturdy, and oils and acrylic colors are also more stable as compared to watercolor, and less prone to damage by moisture. You don't frame them under glass, okay, but then you need some kind of protection from the dust and UV and so on. So that's why what we apply is called varnish on the painting. So it has dual benefits. One is prevents from UV rays, and other is prevents it from collecting dust. Once there is a layer of that, it's something similar to wood varnish or furniture varnish, which protects the furniture. Here it protects the painting. And varnishing is a kind of deep subject. If you go into it deeper, there are removable varnishes, there are permanent varnishes, varnishes which do not crack, and so on. I mean, it's a whole large subject there. What else? Harish recommend some sketchbook brands, paper types. For these sketchbooks I use, I mean, I don't, I have used these, so that's why I can recommend. But there might be others also which are equally good, even better. This one is from Sundaram, this one I don't know, ACGS, some other brand. What I look for, this is also Sudarshan. What I look for in a sketchbook is what is the GSM, and I don't go below 130 GSM because I want to use watercolors with it. So it's necessary to have that 130, 140 and above thickness of paper, so that it can take watercolor and not buckle. So this one is I'll show you few things which I experiment. This one, abstracted landscape here. Yeah, this one is, let me zoom out so that you can see it full. Yeah. So right now, this is also gray and light in value. If we have a nice frame around it, then it will look a lot better than this. But this is an abstract landscape, which in which I don't want to suggest any details, a lot of details, but there are few details, and then you can see how simply I have indicated the tree. I haven't made it look like a real tree, but you can identify that it's a tree, and this is a mountain, this is another mountain, and so on. So you can experiment with different styles, and who knows, you might like it. Few failed experiments, and what else? Why are you Shubha is asking me, why are you not interested in portraits? It's not I'm not interested, but I don't somehow uh, I'm a more nature living person, so I like to paint landscapes more than portraits. It's not that I'm never painted portraits. I've painted portraits even in oils, but given a choice, I'll prefer landscape. And again, as part of a study it's fine, but you will see more uh, I mean, acceptance of a landscape in any person's house is kind of it's a given. I mean, nobody would hate a landscape, or nobody will mind putting up a landscape on their wall. But because portrait is of a particular person, it's unless that person is important to that family, you wouldn't put that portrait on your wall, right? So it's a peculiarity of that topic, uh, which makes it to people, for people to see it in that way. So it's not a matter of whether I like it or not, but I like more of a nature than human aspect of it. So that's why I don't I won't say I hate portraits. I do like them, but I like more landscapes more than that. So again, here there is this is an apple painted in black and white first as a value study, and then in color. This was part of a workshop where I demonstrated this. Kiran Kamath. Hi Kiran. I used to attend classes 2 years ago where I was learning to draw still life and abstract, and also started using oil paint. Didn't get a chance to go back to that again. Not sure where to begin. Any advice? Um, Still life you can use any medium, and if oil is generally a medium which requires uh, a lot more space than watercolors and gouache, because oils take time to dry, and even the painting will take time to dry. You need to clean up the palette in a certain way so that the paint doesn't get on something else, your clothes, your other objects. So it has more of it needs kind of a dedicated space for that. Whereas if you use gouache, you can get similar effects like like oils, but then you have the convenience of watercolor. So you can experiment with gouache. You will I think you will love the opacity. You can, if you want, you can use it transparently and keep on working on that. I won't say gouache can replace oil paint. Oil paint has its peculiarities and specialties which gouache won't. But then it's a trade-off. You can try many things in gouache which uh, you may not be able to try in oil because it's not a quick medium. So you should keep drawing and keep painting with gouache also. And whenever you get time, you can experiment with acrylics and oils. How to paint from photos? This one I will leave for this question. I'll answer in the webinar series, because there we are going to talk about composition also, because that's one of the uh, skills which we need to develop uh, to paint landscapes. So we'll talk about there. Sorry. Don't you use Brustro or Oxford? I didn't specifically. I don't go out looking for a specific brand. I just go to the stationery or art store and flip through various sketchbooks, and whichever I like, I get. So I'm not that way brand conscious, even in colors or brushes or sketchbooks. I'm fairly, I mean, flexible with that. So I haven't used Oxford sketchbooks. Masking tape, you can use any. There's no specific brand which I suggest. You can use. It's called uh, painter's tape or something. Because I use masking tape because it's easy to remove. You can. I also use sometimes the packing tape. I mean, just if I have run out of masking tape, I use normal brown packing tape to make borders and then paint. So it's not that you have to. The tape is not something which decides or which affects the final painting quality. uh, there are things which affect the final quality, which are the paper and the colors. Brushes also to some extent, but not much. So you should pay more attention to which kind of paper you use and what kind of colors you use. You should never use student grade art materials, paints or anything, because they are filled with a lot of chalk, and they won't give you uh, the effect which you are looking for. Okay, so few more. This one is done in. This was done in the weekly class which we have in the Art Insider membership, which I was talking about. So for those who joined later on, um I'm doing a landscape painting skills webinar from 16th to 26th, and that is the one. During that, we'll go through different aspects of landscape painting. What are the skills to grow as an artist? What are the skills to make landscape painting in a professional way? And then we'll also take in students for the next batch of the Art Insider membership, where we go through landscape painting as the main topic. And we have videos on all the core areas of art which are available to members. Then we have one video weekly for you to try and paint. And then we also have a weekly live session with me, in which we do some some painting, because as I was mentioning earlier, learning art is more about practice than knowing the theory behind it. So even though somebody learns the things, that what is value, what is color, how to mix colors and so on, when you can only get better at painting, or get better at creating good paintings, uh, depending on how frequently you paint. And if you don't practice, then these skills, you tend to forget these skills very very quickly. So it's necessary for artists to have regular practice and regular guided practice. And that's why this whole membership is designed in certain way, that which gives you also the information which you need to have, plus it gives you the practice and also the guidance. So it's so make sure that you attend the webinar series. The webinar series itself is completely free. There is no fee for that. If you decide to join the membership, then there is a fee, and we'll talk about that during the webinar series. It's for almost 10 days. Yeah. So make sure you attend. You will, of course, if you have registered, let me send you that link where you can register for this webinar so that you get information about it, uh, and you don't miss out. So I'm just pasting this link in the comments. Yes, you can. It's bit.ly/landscape webinar. You can go there and also submit your questions. When you register, if you have any questions, so that I can answer those questions during the webinar. And even if you don't have any questions, you will learn by listening to the answers which questions which others have asked. So you make sure that you attend these sessions. Shraddha Desai is asking question. Uh, have ever your art failed because of masking tape at the end while removing the masking tape? Yes. When you remove the masking tape in the wrong fashion, if let's say the tape is here and if I remove it this way, then what happens is it starts peeling the layer of paper. If the paper tape is not good, masking tape is not good, it peels off paper of a surface or a layer of paper. And if I uh, pull it towards the painting, then there is a chance that it will peel off some layer from here also. So when you remove the tape, you should always remove it away from the painting, so that even if some layer of the paper is peeled, it gets pulled away from the painting, and you don't get uh, your painting doesn't go bad. Copic ink colors in tour for quick sketches. Yes, I think it should be possible. I haven't personally used Copic markers, but yes, I've heard about them. They are very good, and you can take Copic markers on the journey or wherever you are going. Whenever you are going to Ladakh, that's what you're saying. So you should try that. You try using those before you go, so that you know what to expect, what kind of effects you get, what kind of effects you won't get, so that you won't be disappointed after going there. So I hope that answers your question. And I've given you the link to register. Yes, Jyoti, I've just posted the link. Let me post it again if you can see it. You can register for that landscape webinar, and then I'll send you the details of uh, those live sessions. Again, few more things. This is also done in the membership. In the weekly session, there was I was answering few queries from students on their paintings, so explaining the direction of light and composition and so on. And then I experimented. There is an interesting thing that uh, of course you have to compose the painting to make the greatest impact, but even after the painting is over, if you need to make it better, you can sometimes make it better by cropping it. I mean, if the paper extended so much, which was the case, that's why I'm mentioning it here. There was a girl who made this kind of a painting. It was a beach scene, and then the horizon was line was kind of here in the center, and it divided the scene into two halves, which was not looking good. So then I suggested that you cut off some portion from below, so that the composition improves. So that's one of the things which can help in saving some painting. So here I was explaining how the value study of this painting would be. So this is done in pencil. This is painted in opaque style, which is gouache style, and the same painting is done in transparent watercolor. So you can see how they would look different. Of course, these are very small and done quickly, so you won't see them, or they're not as nice as a painting done by taking time and doing the right preparations. This is kind of a 10-minute demonstration which I did. So but then it's enough to explain the things to the student and work on it. Again, we look at different color mixes. I give them a painting during the session and then they paint. Originally, this painting was painted in oil colors, but then I wanted the students to paint it in watercolor. So I was explaining this would be a style of painting it in transparent watercolor, and then those who wanted to paint in opaque manner, told them what colors or how to mix these dark so that they can paint the same scene in an opaque manner. So that's all what goes on, and every week we have a new painting to work on, and new painting to work on their own also. So it's a lot of practice which students get. And here I was explaining how you can use a single photograph. There's a member in the membership currently. Is from US, and she had gone to this place called Crooked Lake, and she had clicked some photographs, and we were experimenting using one photograph, and we tried to create different compositions based on the same photograph. So we came up with one, two, three, four, five different compositions, and then I was explaining what compositional rules are, and then how you can use one photograph and paint multiple different paintings using the same reference. So you never run out of and as I always say, there's a saying which goes like this: faith can move mountains. And I like to add to it that even artists can move mountains. So if there was no mountain in this scene, I can add one mountain here. I can add a tree. I can, if there was a tree which didn't make the painting look good, I can remove it. I can add things, I can delete things. So you are the director of this movie, or it's not a movie but of this painting. So as an artist you have the license to move mountains. So this is just an experiment of, or example of how we can use one single photograph and come up with multiple compositions. And then you can use different color palettes, and then create completely different paintings from the same photograph. Then what else? So this is the final painting which we did, which I demoed to them, and then of course they did it on a larger piece, a larger paper or canvas, and then again I during the lessons or during the live sessions I don't use a masking tape because you never know which size you would be painting. But then if there was a frame around this painting would look much better to look at. So that's all about the landscape or the sketchbook tour. And as far as, let's quickly go through, it's already 10:06. Let's Let me answer a few questions now. Somewhere I read you are not formally trained in art, but you're a landscaper. What's the story behind? Yes, Harish. Uh, I'm by education and by certification, I'm a mechanical and a software engineer. I worked in manufacturing industry for 5 years, and then switched, then did IT course, and then joined IT company, and then worked in different companies in different countries for 11 years. And in 2011 but I've been painting since childhood. And even though so during the education years plus the 16 years of corporate career, I was painting mainly on weekends, and I did show my paintings in group shows and one or two uh, solo shows also. But then I wanted to do more, so in 2011 I left that career completely. And then I also was fortunate to get support from family. And then started working even more on my painting, developing my own painting skills, and I started also teaching. And it's been now 10, 11, almost 10 and a half years, and it's been a great journey. I'm enjoying it. So, so another thing why I am so passionate about teaching art is that uh, I was kind of, when I made my career choice after 12th, art was not seen as a viable career option. And with by God's grace, I was good in studies also, so I got into engineering college and so on. But then I wanted to learn art also formally, but then our education current education system doesn't allow you to go into uh, different stream once you are out of college. Okay, so there's no way I can go to an art college and get educated now. So I had to learn it the hard way. I did a lot of hard work, a lot of I read so many books, went to different exhibitions. Later on, when internet became so much popular and YouTube and so on, I looked at different artist videos and worked on my skill. Of course, YouTube videos don't give you a direction because every artist paints in different ways, and they are showing only the successful painting, so to say. So they don't show you what went wrong or how to progress step by step. And so I had to learn all this by trial and error and by spending numerous hours myself. So that is the reason why I want to bring this to people who want to learn art even as a hobby or as a profession. Because I in my workshops, there are people who are art students who come and learn with me. There are people who are homemakers who learn, and there are people who are in other professions like IT careers or doctors or architects who come and attend my workshops. So art is not something, a field wherein you need a certificate to be called as an artist. You have to do the work and then you can be called an artist, whereas a doctor needs a certificate, government certified. An architect needs, a CA needs, but an artist doesn't need that. So it's a career, or it's a profession in which you can become a professional without any certification, only based on your work, your hard work. And there is no nobody stopping you from doing that. So that's the short story behind why I love teaching people who are adults or who are not at the college level, so to say. Even though I do teach college level students also, because they also need to learn certain things which are not taught in art colleges. But then most of my students are working professionals, homemakers and retired people. And so many of them are looking at this as a career change, or many of them are looking at this as a hobby. Because artists are making or creating art is very very satisfying, and it has a lot of benefits to reduce your stress and so on. So that's the behind story of why I love teaching people who are not in uh, or didn't get a chance to go to art college. And I mean, if you were to go to an art college, it would take you at least 4 5 hours, 4 5 years to come to a certain stage. And we also know, I mean, it's a commonly known fact that how much of art is taught in art colleges, because there is a limit to which they can teach you, and plus there is a limit to which everybody puts on themselves. The more you practice, the more skilled you become. So it's not necessary that you have to go to art college to become even a professional artist. I mean, there are so many successful uh, artists who did not attend art school. So, and that's the reason why I developed a technique which helps people to learn the art basics, plus do a lot of practice and improve their skills without in a shorter span of time. I mean, uh, the in when I was in IT career, if you happen to know, there is something which is called frameworks. Okay, so framework, what it does is it gives you certain guidelines what should be done where, and what code should go where, and where is the database, and all that. So that gives you a structure, and every new coder knows that this is the place where I need to put this code, this is the place where I need to put this code, and then compile and the program works. So similarly, I try to adapt that method of working to the painting process, and that's why I developed a process which I teach now in the membership and also in the workshops to some extent. Even though workshops are very small as compared to membership, because people who attend workshops are generally people who are short on time or want to just experiment, but that doesn't give you long lasting benefits which and growth which membership gives, because it's a long it's not something which you can learn over a weekend or over a week's time. So that method has evolved now, and that is what I teach in the membership. Hope that answers your question, Harish. From photos, Shubha, yes, I do use what photos for painting. And Hemant Kumar is asking, where are you based? I'm based in Pune, Maharashtra. And it's already 10:13. Okay, let me quickly go through some art materials, because that's what was there on is there on the agenda. So as I said, watercolor and gouache, I use typical watercolors. Camlin is the common brand which I use. There are much more expensive and good quality paints also, but for normal work, these are very nice. But you make sure you use artist grade material and don't buy anything which is marked as student grade. And then Brusto is the brand from which I buy the wash color. Then I use again oil colors. I use Camlin, typical oil color. This is there is one more uh, type of oil colors which come nowadays, which are not made by any Indian manufacturer. They were Camlin was making oil water mixable oil colors earlier, but unfortunately they stopped. So I use these. These are called Cobra brand, which I brought from US. A friend of mine bought it for me. So these are water mixable oils, which means you need not use turpentine or chemical solvents to mix and even wash the brushes. You can add water to these. These are oil colors, but you can add water to these to make them thin to some extent, and also to wash your brushes. So it completely gets rid of all the toxic smells which are generally associated with oil colors. Even though oil colors themselves are not toxic, because all they contain is the pigment and linseed oil, which are both organic sources. Only thing what creates problems is the turpentine or the mineral spirits. Uh, I typically get headache when I use turpentine over a period of maybe even 15-20 minutes. So I had stopped using turpentine long ago, and I was using safflower oil for washing my brushes, which is thinner than linseed oil. But with these water mixable oil colors becoming available, I now use those mainly. And these are few brushes. I get questions about brushes also. I'm not again brand conscious when it comes to brushes also. So this one is a number 10 flat. I typically use flats wherever possible. Very rarely I use a round brush, even for transparent watercolors. This one is a flat 10 number Camlin brush. This is, I don't know what the brand is. It's quite an old brush, but has served me well. This is a rigger, again a synthetic brush, and I don't use too many brushes. I mean, I maximum 3 4 in a painting. Then these are few brushes which I use for oil painting. This is a synthetic brush. It's from Royal and Langnickel. I use it sometimes when I need smooth surface, but I like to use. I like to have oil paintings to have texture in them. So these hog hair brushes, or which are very commonly available in the market, which are kind of dirt cheap. Uh, these are actually banner set brushes. So you can paint with pretty much anything which can apply color on the canvas. So I'm not uh, choosy about brushes. I like cheaper brushes because I can handle them forcefully, and also do not I don't have to worry about wasting a lot of money because I spoiled a expensive brush. So these are all hog hair brushes, or these are natural fibers, but then I think these are animal hair, hog hair. And there are some animal hair brushes for watercolor. These are called mop brushes. Again, this one I had to import because these are squirrel hair brush. But these brushes are not made in India. They cannot be sold in India because it's uh, because of animal rights. Using animal products in brushes is not allowed now. It was allowed till few years ago. Now it's not. So again, a friend of mine bought this for me, but I use this less often than this one. I like to keep my material simple so that I can concentrate more on the artistic aspect rather than the material aspect of it. So these are few. Then I also like to paint with palette knife. Generally, these are used for mixing colors, oil colors typically. But then I also like to use to paint with it because it gives some effects which no brush can create. So you should try that sometimes if you get uh, and it's kind of addictive to paint with palette knives. Once you get the hang of it, you can create broad brush marks, broad color marks. You can make very thin lines with an edge, so you're not really you get a wide variety of things which you can do with just the palette knives. Shraddha is asking, do you do digital painting? Yes, I do, and I use iPad and Apple Pencil for that. But I don't do them as frequently as I do these physical color paintings. And anything else that I needed to show you? These are some. Yeah, okay. Um, yes, though I think we have covered all that agenda which we had set forth with. So as I said, this is a precursor to the webinar series which is starting on 16th. So do attend that. I've posted the link for, let me post it again so that you can register for that. And so you can get an email from me informing you about what what where is it, what time is it, and details about what is coming up in that session and so on. And I did give you sketchbook walkthrough. We walked through about 3 4 sketchbooks of mine. Then we also talked about supplies, and along the way we also answered some questions. So I think this has been a good time. Thanks for joining, all of you. And those who are watching this as a recording, they also, I request them to also sign up for that workshop, for the webinar series, so that you learn about many things which a landscape painter or landscape artist needs to know. Actually, these are the things which are basic of any visual art, not only landscape. It can be used in even if you are painting figures, you are painting still life, because the principles remain same, the subject changes. So you should attend that. And let's wrap this up. Creativity with spirituality. Okay, I don't know the name. The name of the thing is, I mean, the person has given that name to his YouTube account. Thanks for amazing information on animal ingredients in process. Yes, animal ingredients are banned because of protection for animals. Yeah, vegan brushes. I'm not sure there are vegan. At least I have not seen any vegan brushes. But I guess these synthetic brushes must be vegan because they don't use any. They use plastic as the bristle material and wood as the handle material and some metal here. Yeah, and yes, you should not use any animal hairbrush. If you have them, you can use it. This I had brought because these are not commonly available. I had requested a friend of mine to get them, but I don't use them any. I mean, a lot. Can you show oil painting mixed with water, sir? I don't have. I've painted many, but and by looking at the painting, you won't even know that they are water mixable oils, because once the water evaporates, there is what remains is typical oil color, which uh, what's the word, which cures by oxidation of the oil in it. It could be linseed oil, it could be walnut oil, it could be safflower oil, whatever oils which form a film when they oxidize. So once the water dries from the paint, which happens within a day, or even less than that, depending on the atmosphere and the temperature, but you won't even know what is the difference between an oil painting done with pure oil paints, or watercolor, or a painting done with water mixable oils. But I'll show you sometime. I don't have that painting here. None of these are, or what you see in the back, I think they are done in, yes. Do you see? Let me zoom in. Let me change the view so that you can see it more clearly. Can you see some paintings here? The four paintings in the center here, they are all painted with water mixable oils. They are too far away for you to see the details, but these are, you won't know the difference between them, whether it's oil. Sorry, you don't, you won't, you can see that. Yeah. So now you can see, I guess. So these are all four paintings which are painted in this one, all these four in the center. They are painted with water mixable oils. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, Mansi. Yes. Thanks. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Shubha. And thanks for all of you to join and also ask questions. And I hope you will register for the free webinar series, and I'll also see you there. I'll explain different aspects of painting or skills which are needed, and also answer Q&A questions which you post and others post. So do join there. So I think we are good to call this done, and have a good night if you are joining from India. If you are joining from elsewhere where it's daytime, yes, there was a person from Texas. I don't remember the name. So have a good day and see you next time. I might do a live. I'm not yet sure. I might do a live again on Saturday or Sunday, but I'm not sure. If you register for this link, I'll post the link again. On this link, I'll let you know by email when I'm doing the next live before the webinar series. But of course, webinar series starts from Monday, so that's for sure. I might do a live before that, but I'm not sure. So look out for an email, and then see you then. Thanks. Enjoy, and happy painting to all of you. So let me close this now. And if anybody missed seeing part of it, or maybe they had to leave early, you can watch the recording of this on wherever, on YouTube as well as Facebook. Thank you. Hi, Shrikant. How are you? I know Shrikant from, I think, 7, 8 years now. Yes, 2013. Hi, Shrikant. And that's a wrap. Thank you. Bye. I'm closing the stream now.